Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to dive into India's really fascinating and complex health journey. We'll be looking at what the latest economic surveys are telling us about this incredible story of progress and how, weirdly enough, all that success has created a whole new set of problems.
So let me start by asking you this, just to keep in the back of your mind. What if the very act of saving millions of lives, of helping people live longer, actually created a brand new and maybe even trickier public health crisis? That's the huge paradox we're exploring today.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the wins. And trust me, they are huge. For the longest time, the main goal for public health in India was pretty simple, just helping people survive. And on that front, wow, the results have been nothing short of spectacular. All right, check this out. 70.3 years. That's the average life expectancy at birth in India today. Now, to really get how big a deal that is, you have to know that back in 1973, it was only 49.7 years. That is a massive, massive jump. And that kind of leap doesn't just happen, right? It's all thanks to decades of focused work and investment in public health. And that progress starts right from day one. This number, that's a drop of over 37% in the infant mortality rate, and that's just in the last 10 years. It's a huge sign that things like maternal care, hospitals for newborns, and just general kids' healthcare have gotten so much better across the country.
And then there's this number, which is maybe the most dramatic of all, an 86% drop in the maternal mortality rate since 1990. That is just staggering. I mean, to put that into perspective, the global average drop was 48%. So India didn't just keep up, it blew past the rest of the world on this, saving countless mothers' lives.
Okay, so all this success is amazing, but here's where the story gets complicated. You see, all those wins, people living longer, more kids making it to adulthood, they've completely redrawn the health map of the country. And this big shift, it actually has a name. It's called the epidemiological transition.
So what on earth does that mean? Well, it's pretty simple, really. When a country starts winning the fight against things like infectious diseases, a whole new set of problems pops up. Basically, people are living long enough to get the kinds of diseases that take time to develop. We're talking heart disease, diabetes, cancer, the chronic stuff. And this isn't a bad thing. It's actually a sign of success. But it totally changes the game for a nation's social fabric and its human capital. Now, usually, when this transition happens, the old diseases kind of fade into the background as the new ones take over. But in India, it's not that simple. The country is dealing with what experts call a double burden. It's like having to fight a war on two fronts at the very same time.
So on one hand, you've still got the old enemy hanging around. Infectious diseases like TB are still a real problem. But then, on the other hand, there's this new fight that's getting bigger and bigger every day, the fight against these modern lifestyle diseases. The healthcare system can't just flip a switch. Nope, it has to get bigger and stronger to handle both of these battles at once.
And this chart, well, it shows you exactly what that looks like. It really drives home just how massive this shift has been. These non-communicable diseases, or NCDs, are now responsible for over half of all deaths in the country. The whole definition of what a public health threat has completely changed. And look, that's not just a number on a chart. It's a huge challenge to the nation's health, and by extension, its economic productivity, it's a challenge to its human capital. So that leads us to these new threats on the horizon. And we're not just talking about survival anymore. Now it's all about the quality of people's health and what that means for the country's human capital. The potential of its people to innovate and build the economy. This quote from the economic survey really hits the nail on the head, right? It's not enough for people to just live longer. The goal now has to be making sure those longer lives are also healthy, productive lives. Because these new lifestyle risks, they're starting to have a real economic cost. Just take a look at this. It's pretty shocking. Between 2006 and 2019, sales of what we call ultra-processed foods, or UPFs, shot up by 40 times. 40. And what happened in that same time frame? Obesity rates nearly doubled. That is not a coincidence, folks. It's a straight line connecting modern diets to what some are calling a silent epidemic of lifestyle diseases. And you can see how this affects human capital, right? A sicker workforce means less productivity and just skyrocketing healthcare costs down the road. And it's not just about food. The survey is also waving a red flag about digital addiction as another huge new health risk. Especially for young people, this is a big deal. It can mess with brain development, mental health, social skills, all the stuff you need to be a productive member of society. It's a direct threat to the future workforce, chipping away at the very cognitive foundations of a modern economy.
So, the big question is, how do you even begin to tackle a problem this complex, this new? Well, the answer seems to be a major strategic shift. We're talking about changing the entire focus of the public health system.
And you can actually see that evolution happening in 3 stages. So step 1 was all about survival. Step 2 became about managing these chronic diseases that were popping up. And now we're moving into step 3, which is all about holistic well-being. The idea is to be proactive and stop these diseases before they even start.
And this isn't just a plan on paper. We're already seeing real action. Things like the Ayushman Bharat mission are beefing up the healthcare infrastructure. There are new critical care centers being built just to deal with these NCDs. And you've got services like Telemanas making mental health care easier to get, and a real push for stuff like digital hygiene. It's really an all-out assault on that double burden we talked about.
Which brings us right back to where we started, with a big question. Look, India proved it could win the war against the diseases of the past. The victories have been absolutely incredible. The system showed it could save lives on a massive scale. But the challenge today, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a fight against our own modern lifestyles. And the question we have to ask is India ready for this new fight?